After World War II, the United States of America achieved a level of prosperity and scientific progress that they had never seen before. Americans won the space race, and their science and technology was known to be the best in the world. But have you ever wondered about the hidden stories behind some of the most significant scientific advancements in our history? What if I told you that some of the brightest minds behind America's post-World War II achievements were known Nazis who were involved in horrific war crimes? Join us as we delve into the dark truths of Operation Paperclip, a secret project by the US government to recruit German scientists, engineers, and technicians from the Nazi regime after World War II. What is Operation Paperclip? Operation Paperclip was a secret program initiated by the United States after World War II. It aimed to recruit German scientists, including former Nazi Party members, to work for the US government. The goal was to harness their expertise in various fields such as rocket technology, aviation, interrogation, and chemical warfare for military research and advancement. The genesis of Operation Paperclip. After World War II ended in 1945, the Allies found something they desperately needed in Germany: a bunch of great scientists. These scientists had been working for the Nazis, and they knew a lot about rockets, planes, and other technical advances. So, the leadership of the United States called the US Joint Chiefs of Staff because they had an idea. They wanted to bring these German scientists to America to help with military research. This plan was called Operation Paperclip. The US Joint Chiefs of Staff thought, these German scientists could help us make better weapons and technology. They were worried that a new war with the Soviet Union would begin shortly after World War II, and they realized that they would be competing with Russia for Nazi scientific talent, their research, and strategies the Nazis were following. So they started Operation Paperclip to bring these experts to the United States. It was like trying to recruit them to work for America instead of Germany. Or even worse, our new enemy, the Soviet Union. Imagine being a scientist after the fall of Nazi Germany, and suddenly getting a letter from the United States saying, "Hey, come work for us." It must have been a big surprise for them. But some of these scientists were happy to go. They probably thought, wow, America is offering us jobs after everything we did here? Unbelievable. So Operation Paperclip was a secret mission to bring German brains to America for military research. But what happened next? Did the scientists agree to go? And what did they do when they got to America? The recruitment and exploitation of Nazi scientists. During this time, the US sought to bolster its scientific prowess by recruiting German expertise through Operation Paperclip. This was not a small program. Over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were discreetly whisked away to America between 1945 and 1959. Remember that this was the beginning of the Cold War, and the United States was in competition with Russia, who was running a similar program, forcibly recruiting more than 2,200 scientists for their own needs. Among the Operation Paperclip scientists were individuals with dark, twisted pasts, former members and leaders of the Nazi Party. Let's highlight a few examples. We'll start with the foundations of the United States' celebrated space program and the beginning of NASA. In 1942, before the end of the war, Hitler approved mass production of their V-2 rocket, designed by Wernher von Braun, who was to become a paperclip scientist. The V-2 was manufactured in an underground complex, built inside of a mountain, known as Mittelwerk. This complex was built using slave labor from a nearby concentration camp. The working conditions were so brutal that 1/3 of the 20,000 slave laborers died from their inability to breathe, lack of food, being shot, or being beaten to death. Soon-to-be paperclip scientist Arthur Rudolph was responsible for the V-2 missile production at Mittelwerk. Other notable paperclip scientists who were also at Mittelwerk include Walter Dornberger, who led the ballistic missile program, and Kurt de Boos, a Nazi SS officer who oversaw the V-2 test flights. Despite their affiliation with the Nazi regime, all four of these former Nazi scientists became instrumental in shaping the US space program during the Cold War era under Operation Paperclip. Arthur Rudolph developed the Pershing missile and the Saturn V moon rocket. After Operation Paperclip, Walter Dornberger went to work for Bell Aircraft Corporation until his retirement and returned to Germany. Kurt de Boos, the former SS officer, became the first director of NASA's Launch Operations Center. He directed the design, development, construction, and operation of the Saturn launch facilities. And Wernher von Braun became known as the father of the US space program, and actually became known as a celebrity in America, without anyone knowing about his Nazi past. He even appeared on the cover of Time magazine in February 1958. Another key recruit in the Paperclip program was Hubertus Strughold, later renowned as the father of space medicine, whose innovations contributed to advancements in astronautical research. Hubertus Strughold studied the medical effects of high-altitude and supersonic travel on humans by using a pressurized altitude chamber to subject his victims, who were from Nazi concentration camps, to altitude changes and observe the effects. Most of them died in the process. Strughold was the supervisor of the men who committed terrible experiments on inmates of the Dachau concentration camp, including using freezing water to give them hypothermia, being placed in air pressure chambers, and various surgical procedures, including poison injections. After his capture, he denied any knowledge of the Dachau experiments, even though there is way too much evidence that proves he knew exactly what was going on. These scientists, once hailed as heroes in Nazi Germany, now found themselves in a new land, working on projects crucial to American national interests. But beneath the surface of scientific progress lay the shadows of their past affiliations and actions. As the US welcomed these experts with open arms, questions arose about the morality of embracing individuals with ties to a regime responsible for unspeakable atrocities. Yet, with the looming specter of the Cold War and the race for technological supremacy against the Soviet Union, the pragmatic calculus of wartime alliances overshadowed ethical considerations, concealed darkness. In the aftermath of Operation Paperclip, some scientists faced investigations and trials for their wartime activities. Despite this scrutiny, no Paperclip scientist was ever found guilty of any crime in the United States or Germany. However, controversies persisted, leading to the retirement of awards and a reassessment of the legacies of these people. Operation Paperclip's complicated history looms large, overshadowed by its troubling association with war criminals. Critics are appalled by the US government's decision to welcome former Nazi scientists, despite their involvement in wartime atrocities. But what happened to those who evaded accountability? As investigations unfolded, only a select few scientists ever faced scrutiny for their actions. Among them was Arthur Rudolph, the operations director for V-2 missile production, who renounced his US citizenship in 1984 when the allegations of forced labor at Mittelwerk during the war came to light. He just relocated to West Germany, where he was granted citizenship, escaping justice once again. In 1961, the FBI investigated rocket scientist Werner von Braun's ties to the Nazi Party, including his membership in the SS. However, they conveniently concluded that his affiliation was solely for career advancement, sparing him from prosecution. Meanwhile, Hubertus Strughold, known as the father of space medicine, faced a different fate. For decades, he was revered for his contributions to aerospace innovation, even having a prestigious award in space medicine named after him, the Strughold Award. However, in 2013, revelations about his involvement in human experiments during World War II led to the retirement of the award, tarnishing his legacy. Despite these isolated cases, most of the Operation Paperclip scientists escaped accountability altogether. Their assimilation into American society allowed them to continue their careers unhindered, contributing to significant advancements in space exploration and military technology. But what about the victims of their wartime atrocities? What justice did they receive, if any? And how did the US government justify prioritizing scientific expertise over moral accountability? The secrets of Camp King. Camp King emerged as a pivotal location in the dark underbelly of Operation Paperclip. Situated near Frankfurt, Germany, it served as a secret hub for the development of extreme interrogation techniques and sinister experiments. In the aftermath of World War II, as the Allies sought to extract intelligence from captured enemies, Camp King became a focal point for interrogations. But behind closed doors, a chilling collaboration unfolded between American authorities and former Nazi scientists. Among those involved were notorious figures like Kurt Blome and Walter Schreiber, both prominent doctors in the Third Reich's medical apparatus. Blome, known for his expertise in biological warfare, conducted horrific human experiments at the Ravensbrück concentration camp. Dr. Blome was responsible for all biological research sponsored by the Wehrmacht and the SS. In the infamous doctor's trial at Nuremberg, it was revealed that he personally participated in human experiments on concentration camp prisoners. Blome's specialty was biological warfare agents such as plague, cholera, anthrax, and typhoid. His human experiments included infecting the prisoners in order to test vaccines, He also tested nerve gases, like sarin, on Auschwitz inmates. He was acquitted at Nuremberg, probably with the influence of the United States, and that saved him from execution. Instead, he went to Camp King to continue his gruesome work. Walter Schreiber was the Surgeon General of the Third Reich. He oversaw all the medical operations and human experiments that were conducted. He tested the effects of typhus on the prisoners of the Buchenwald concentration camp, among other atrocities. But the darkest secrets of Camp King lay in its association with ongoing human experimentation. Blome and Schreiber, already implicated in war crimes, found refuge within its walls. Here, they continued the heinous work that they started in the concentration camps, using prisoners of war as subjects for their horrific studies. With the cooperation of the American CIA, Blome and Schreiber began Operation Bluebird, in which they tested the effects of LSD on unwitting subjects as a form of advanced interrogation. Even more sinister interrogation techniques were used as well, many which are still classified. CIA Director Alan Dulles used Camp King to explore the possibilities of augmenting the usual interrogation methods by the use of drugs, hypnosis, shock, etc. And because foreign governments allowed certain activities which were not permitted by the United States government, like giving prisoners anthrax, for example. Operation Bluebird eventually devolved into one of the CIA's darkest chapters that we know of, the MK-Ultra program. But that's the subject of an upcoming video. In 1951, the Boston Globe linked Walter Schreiber and Kurt Blome to the gruesome human experiments at the Ravensbrück camp. Despite these revelations, Schreiber also eluded justice with the aid of the US military, ultimately emigrating to Argentina. In that same year, Blome was hired by the US Army Chemical Corps under Project 63, one of the successors to Operation Paperclip, to work on secret chemical warfare programs. Camp King's sinister legacy extends far beyond its physical boundaries. It represents a chilling chapter in history, where the pursuit of intelligence intersected with moral compromise. As we confront the horrors concealed within its walls, we must ask ourselves, what other atrocities remain hidden in the shadows of Operation Paperclip, and how do we reckon with the ethical implications of our past actions? The ethical dilemma and myth-making. Operation Paperclip poses tough questions about right and wrong. Imagine this. After World War II, America needed to get ahead in science and technology. We were entering a Cold War with the Soviet Union, and they were quickly taking the Nazis' best and brightest scientists. The United States knew they needed help from German scientists who were the best in their fields at the time, even if some were Nazis. It's like choosing between getting smart and staying ahead of Russia or doing the right thing. Governments often spin stories to make themselves look good. But what if these stories hide dark secrets? That's the case with Operation Paperclip. The US government sold the public a tale of brilliant scientists saving the day for democracy, all the while hiding their Nazi pasts. And the most shocking part was the cover-ups done to protect these scientists from their various war crimes during the Nazi regime. There is so much more to the story of Operation Paperclip, and so many more stories of true conspiracies that are hidden behind the closed doors of history. A great book to learn more about this topic is Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America, by Annie Jacobsen. It's a very in-depth read, but you can have the book read to you by subscribing to Audible, using the link in the description below. Subscribing to Audible using the link below helps support this channel, so we can continue to bring you more true conspiracy stories and shine light into the dark corners of history. Something to think about. What's the real story behind Operation Paperclip? Are we willing to overlook the sins of the past for the sake of scientific progress? Or should we reveal the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be? The choice is yours. So, there you have it, the untold story of Operation Paperclip, where American ambition clashed with moral integrity. But as we delve deeper into the shadows of history, we're reminded that the past is not just a series of events. It's a reflection of who we are and the choices we make. Let's not ignore the hard parts of our past. Instead, let's learn from them and work towards a better future, one where we remember our mistakes and strive to do better, because only by facing our history head-on can we build a brighter tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe, and share your comments below. Thanks for watching.